There's an assumption we rarely question, that we are smarter than everyone who came before us. That with satellites, supercomputers, and machines the size of buildings, there is nothing ancient humans could do that we can't replicate, or at least explain. That assumption is wrong, and there is a place on Earth where it collapses completely. Imagine standing in front of something so massive, so precise, so confidently engineered, that even today we can't agree on how it was built. Not because the instructions were lost, not because the tools were primitive, but because none of our explanations actually work. This isn't a mystery about missing technology. It's a mystery about missing understanding. Every engineer knows the feeling. The moment you look at a structure and your instincts revolt. Not curiosity, not admiration, disbelief. The kind that makes you stop breathing for a second. That moment happens in Lebanon, at Baalbek. From a distance, it looks familiar. Ancient ruins, Roman columns, a story we think we already understand. But beneath the Roman temple, beneath what textbooks focus on, is something older and heavier and fundamentally wrong. Gigantic stone blocks, perfectly cut, perfectly aligned, each weighing more than a modern jetliner at takeoff. Not placed randomly, not stacked crudely, but set with millimeter-level precision. Quarried uphill, transported hundreds of meters, positioned without steel, engines, or modern mathematics. And here's the part that should disturb you. The Romans didn't build this. They built on top of it, which means when Rome, history's greatest engineers, arrived, these stones were already there, already placed, already ancient. That forces a question modern science is deeply uncomfortable asking. What if progress isn't a straight line? And what if something intelligent was lost? Engineers didn't ignore Baalbek. They attacked it with formulas, with simulations, with confidence. And one by one, every explanation broke. The first idea is always the simplest. Wooden rollers. Logs beneath the stone, manpower pushing it forward. It sounds reasonable until you do the math. 1,000-ton block would crush wooden rollers instantly. Even reinforced hardwood snaps under a fraction of that load. And if stronger wood existed, it would leave splintered remains. There are none. Next comes dragging. Teams pulling the stone across the ground with ropes. Except friction doesn't negotiate. The force required would exceed what thousands of people could generate, even on prepared surfaces. And dragging leaves scars, deep gouges, torn terrain, crushed earth. The ground between quarry and platform shows none. Then comes leverage and ramps. Earth ramps built slowly, lifting the stone increment by increment. But ramps require space, massive space, and structural support strong enough to hold both the ramp and the block without collapse. No remains, no erosion patterns, no anchor points. Then comes the favorite fallback. They had more people. Enough people can do anything, right? Except population estimates fail. The labor numbers required exceed what the region could sustain. Feeding, organizing, and coordinating that workforce would be a logistical miracle on its own, one that also leaves no trace. And then there's precision. This is where everything truly collapses. Even if you could move the stone, placing it is another problem entirely. These blocks weren't dropped into place. They weren't adjusted over weeks. They were seated so cleanly that the joints between them remain tighter than many modern constructions. No mortar, no filler, no correction marks. That kind of precision usually requires controlled lifting, fine adjustment, and repeatable force. Ancient builders didn't just move the stones, they set them, and they did it repeatedly. Modern engineers model these scenarios with computers. They simulate force vectors, material limits, and tolerances. And every time, the model fails somewhere. either requiring materials that didn't exist, machines that shouldn't be possible, or assumptions that quietly break physics. At some point, you stop asking which method did they use, and you start asking a far more dangerous question. What method are we missing? Because Baalbek isn't resisting explanation, it's rejecting it. For a long time, Baalbek had a convenient explanation: Rome. If something was massive, precise, and ancient, Rome became the answer by default. And on the surface, it works. The Romans built the temple complex visible today, the columns, the ornamentation, the grandeur. But the foundation tells a different story. Because Roman engineers didn't start from bedrock, they built on top of something that was already there. The megalithic platform beneath the temple, home to the largest stones ever used in construction, was not integrated into Roman design. It doesn't follow Roman proportions. It doesn't match Roman tooling marks. And most telling of all, it doesn't behave like a Roman foundation. Roman builders were practical. They optimized for repeatability. Their blocks, while impressive, were standardized, transportable, rational. Baalbek's foundation is none of those things. It uses stones so large they complicate construction rather than simplify it. Stones that provide no structural advantage over smaller blocks unless they were placed by someone operating under a very different logic. Which raises the problem Rome never answers. Why would Roman engineers, masters of efficiency, choose the most difficult building method imaginable? They wouldn't, so they didn't. Archaeologists quietly acknowledge this now. The foundation predates the Roman occupation. By how long? No one agrees. Some suggest centuries, others much earlier. But once you accept that Rome inherited the site instead of creating it, the timeline fractures. Because whoever came before had capabilities Rome never used and never documented. No Roman texts describe lifting stones of this scale. No manuals, no relief carvings, no bragging inscriptions, and Romans loved to brag. Instead, there is silence, and silence in archaeology is rarely empty. It usually means the story didn't survive the transition. Civilizations don't just disappear in fire and chaos. Sometimes they fade, sometimes they're absorbed, sometimes their knowledge is deemed unnecessary or too difficult, or simply irrelevant to the new order. And sometimes what remains is stone. Stone so heavy, so precise, and so out of place that later civilizations choose the only option available: build around it. Baalbek wasn't constructed by Rome. It was inherited. And inheritance implies loss. Baalbek would be easier to dismiss if it were alone, an outlier, a fluke, a one-time miracle we could shrug off as a historical anomaly. But it isn't. Halfway across the world, in the mountains of Peru, there's a place that triggers the same reaction: Sacsayhuaman. Massive stone walls assembled from blocks weighing tens, sometimes hundreds of tons. Each stone carved into irregular, interlocking shapes, like a three-dimensional puzzle. No two blocks are the same. Every angle is deliberate. And the fit is flawless. You can't slide a blade between the stones. Not after centuries, not after earthquakes. Modern buildings nearby cracked and collapsed during seismic events. These walls didn't. They flexed, as if they were designed to move. And when the Spanish arrived, the Inca told them something strange. They said they didn't build it. It was already there, just like Baalbek. Then there's Egypt. Often treated as a solved case, the Great Pyramid is casually reduced to manpower and ramps. But inside, the story gets uncomfortable. Some internal blocks weigh more than 80 tons, lifted hundreds of feet in the air. The structure is aligned to true north with staggering precision. The margin of error is smaller than a human thumb. That isn't brute force. That's control. The internal chambers show intentional stress distribution, acoustic resonance, and geometric foresight that wasn't formally described until thousands of years later. Different continents, different cultures, different eras, the same problems, the same solutions. Stone over steel, precision over brute force, foundations so advanced that later civilizations either reused them or stood in awe of them. And here's the unsettling pattern. In every case, the builders themselves claim inheritance, not invention, not mastery, inheritance, which forces a conclusion we're reluctant to sit with. Either multiple ancient cultures independently solved the same extreme engineering challenges using methods we no longer understand, or the story of human progress is missing entire chapters. Not myths, methods. And the stones remain, silent, immovable, waiting for an explanation that still hasn't arrived. We like to believe history moves in a straight line, that knowledge only accumulates, that intelligence steadily improves, that each generation stands taller than the last. But the stones tell a different story. They suggest that progress is fragile, that knowledge can rise and disappear, that civilizations don't just lose wars or cities, they lose methods. Libraries burn, craft traditions die with their masters, skills that aren't written down vanish quietly. And stone is what remains, not because it's magical, but because it lasts. If an advanced culture existed before recorded history, one that understood force, resonance, geometry, and material limits differently than we do, we wouldn't find machines or metal tools. We'd find foundations, platforms, walls that don't behave like they should. Exactly what we see. This doesn't mean ancient people were superior. It means they were different. They solved problems under constraints we no longer face, and in doing so, they discovered solutions we never needed to preserve. Modern science isn't failing because it lacks intelligence, it's struggling because it's missing context. And that's the most uncomfortable idea of all, that the greatest loss in human history might not be something we never invented, but something we forgot. The stones aren't puzzles waiting to be solved. They're reminders of how much can vanish, of how fragile certainty really is, and of how dangerous it is to assume we've reached the peak. If this unsettled you, good, because this isn't one mystery, it's a category of them, and we are only getting started. Subscribe if you want to explore the structures that don't fit the timeline, the knowledge that slipped through history's cracks, and the questions modern science still isn't ready to answer. The stones are still there, and they're not done challenging us.
Watch more historical video or subscribe this channel and press the bell icon.